So I changed the topic of this. This was Coconut Joe. I changed it. Who you hire matters, because I feel like that message is a little better. These are the stories from the trenches of interesting things realtors do, and lenders, the good, the bad, and the inspiring, or the oops chronicles, or behind the blunders. So I must get probably five stories, maybe even 10 stories a week of things that I could use in here. I'm gonna leave it to one. I was talking to someone came up to me the other day, and they know my investing background. They understand the diversity of understanding of real estate that I have. And they said, hey, it's a residential realtor. Hey, I took a listing on a multifamily apartment complex property, and I put it on the market. And we sent e-blasts out to the other residential agents, and it's been really quiet. And I said, okay. And they said, oh, the market, I think the market's slow in this area. And I said, you think? And they said, well, I'm not totally sure. And I said, have you ever sold a multifamily apartment complex? And they said, no. And I said, okay. And they said, yeah, I wanted to pick your brain. How do we find the buyer for this? What else should I do? And I'm thinking, oh, okay, wait a second. They hired you. You should be able to figure this one out. But the reality was, I said, well, do you have a pool of multifamily investors that you are going to reach out to about it? Well, no. That's a good idea. And where do I get them? I'm like, well, you probably would have them if you had the experience in this type of property. And then I said, have you reached out to commercial or multifamily realtors on the commercial side? Because the commercial is different from the residential, and multifamily falls under commercial. And they're like, no, I haven't done that. I said, did you put the property in LoopNet? No. What is LoopNet? And I just started to do like this, and I was like, and I said, well, what have you done? Well, I put it in MLS, and I put it in with pictures. I send an e-blast out to residential agents. Okay. And now we're twiddling our thumbs. First of all, you've sent it to the wrong audience. It should have gone to the commercial brokers who know how to handle. They're the ones with all the clients. Have you called the agents in the residential side that do multifamily personally and have investors? No, I haven't done that. That's a good idea. Where do I get that list? Well, you got to figure out the list. You shouldn't be taking this listing without having the strategy. You're now coming to me for the strategy for your listing. And so to me, the moral of the story in this, and I'm seeing this a lot right now because the market has been slower. I'm seeing agents taking outer island listings. I'm seeing agents taking listings in areas that they're not familiar with and they're not experts in. And I see this in particular. This is an extreme version. I'm seeing an agent taking a property listing of what they have zero experience of, and then they don't have the strategy for it. And I look at that and it scares me, because you're gambling at that point with millions of dollars of somebody else's money, and it's not fair to that person. And if you aren't an expert in that area, for one, you shouldn't take the listing. But from the consumer standpoint, you have to understand this. You have to look out for yourself, and you should hire someone, interview multiple. How many deals have you done in this type of property? What's your area of expertise? What's your strategy? How many years of experience do you have in this area? For one, you don't hire the Maui agent to sell the Oahu property, right? You at least got to be on island. And the next portion is do you have experience in this area, in this type of property? Have you done a number of transactions? Can you create the strategy? Do you have the connections, and can you get it done?
Pretty simple. I mean, in theory, especially when you're talking about, the multifamily, multi-residential type property. Yeah. I mean, we have this great thing in this business called referrals. You get paid for doing nothing by picking up the phone and calling somebody else and saying, hey, this is not my kuleana or area of expertise, as we say. And yep. I want to pass it on to you. Give me a 30% commission, whatever it might be. And, that's one route you can take. Or you can say, I really want to do better in this area. But then you got to get your butt in gear and learn about it and figure out what to do and do it.
Yep.
And that might be the harder thing to do. I mean, how many multi-residential things are you going to sell over your career? I know commercial realtors, they don't go on volume. It's not like they're selling 100 properties a year,
Yeah.
I mean, they're selling a very, very expensive property once every 5 or 10 years. Some of them, right? So depending on how large the property might be. So
Well,
yeah,
what I think what people don't
it's
realize is commercial and residential agents are two worlds apart completely. So commercial
it,
brokers are numbers people. They're dealing with investors. We don't deal with them, right? We don't cross over.
no, no.
Very rarely. And they have LoopNet. They go on LoopNet. They pay for subscriptions there. They'll post their properties there. They're running demographics. I've taken all my CCIM courses. I've taken over 200 hours of commercial investment courses. And that's where I got into syndications and stuff. But I don't delve in that world because I'm residential. It's hard enough staying up on residential, much less trying to move into that world and network with all those people. You can't do it. It's a disservice to the client.
Yeah.
The minute I go into that world, I'm not the expert, right?
I well taken as far as your in that particular place. You're the agent and you have a seller, and are you doing right by them? You
Correct.
might be doing right by them to say, hey, it's like a doctor telling somebody, I need you to refer you to another doctor because they know what they're doing about
the
this.
expertise. Yep.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. So there, to me, there's a component of the agent side that you need to do the right thing for the consumer, but the consumer needs to understand I need to look out for myself because there's enough people that don't.
Yeah.
That they want to I want the listing.
I know Guy, and he helped me buy my house, and I've lived here for 15 years, and now I bought a commercial property, or I want to buy a commercial property, so I'm going to go to Guy, and because he did right by me, and I would say, hey, I'll go along for the ride.
Talk to this guy.
Here's the guy. We'll take care of you together if you feel comfortable about that, but I want to bring somebody else in. I mean that's
Correct.
the thing to do.
Yep.
So,
yep. And I interview. Yeah. I help by interviewing people. Like for me, I could talk to an agent within 2 to 3 minutes. I know whether or not you know what you're talking about because I've been in the business so long, right? I have so much experience over 20 some years in so many different areas that I can talk to someone quickly for 2 to 3 minutes, ask a few questions based on their answer. I can tell immediately whether or not these people know their stuff. And if they don't, then I move on.
Yeah, and a lot realtors that they were before, which is, and that a lot of us, we make this repeat buy from you, and then when them as it's a huge part of any business, just like whether it's retail or anything, is repeat customers. Yep. But once you delve into the area of the unknown where you don't have a repeat customer, then, it's like I said, you have to really be honest as a realtor when they come to you and say, hey, I'm going to try this. And you go, hey, I was glad to help you buy your house, but yeah, I don't have the to admit that you don't have the expertise or to refer them to somebody. They're going to, in the end, they're going to appreciate that. And if they want you along for the ride, you're probably going to get a referral fee anyway or whatever. So it's a good point. A great point.
Yep.